Good afternoon, Steel City. Welcome to the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Our 43rd edition will be live from the original podcast room of the Black and Gold Paraphernalia. On today's show, we have a big one going on here today. The Pittsburgh Steelers will be coming off their bye week to face the Washington Commanders in a battle of first-place teams. This is that part of the schedule that the Sixers to start was needed. The Steelers will be tested for sure in the upcoming weeks. Hashtag here we go. Wait a second. Today is the trade deadline. The Steelers have made two moves for a wide receiver and a pass rushing linebacker. Pitt ranked 18th in the NCAA football polls and being undefeated before playing SMU and getting beat bad in an unfamiliar venue, now ranked 23rd in the football rankings. The Panthers will have to get back on track with two meaningful games upcoming. All hail Pitt. Penn State battle versus Ohio State, winning usual, getting beat for the 8th straight time in front of over 111,000 fans who have turned on Coach Franklin, cursing him out as he walked up the field and wanting him fired. Just a miserable scene in what is definitely not a happy valley. Hashtag we are. The Pitt Panthers men's basketball team is back in action as they open up their season with a big win in front of the so-called Oakland Blue fans in Pittsburgh with a 40-point win over a team named Bradford. The Pittsburgh Penguins have won 2 in a row for a 6-game losing streak, with more milestones coming in the wins. And Sidney Crosby, Halloween special type B. Yeah, he had many costumes on that night. Let's go bang. So in prior episodes, I mentioned about the Pittsburgh sports stars, Dave Parker and Hines Ward, getting into the MLB and NFL Hall of Fame. So the Yinzer Report request may have been answered as both players are respective finalists for both Hall of Fame. Let's go. I will start the show off with a tremendous sponsor. Planet Jerky Beef Premium Beef Jerky. The jerky that's on another planet. Steel with steel, wax fans. You bring the steel, we'll bring the steel. At IE Sports Radio, you're the referees for all other sports. And why we are here doing the Yinzer Report. Steel City, Pittsburgh, please come join me. On my 43rd episode live on StreamYard, this is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio. You're the referees for all other sports. Let's go!
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Ralph Calise, host of the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Happy Election Day 2024. Hopefully everybody got out there and made their decision and made a vote. It's very important to the United States of America, the land we live in. So hopefully you went and did that. Today is episode 43, and like I mentioned in prior episodes, there are certain episodes with numbers that I kind of like use the number towards my favorite player. And actually today is episode number 43. So we're going to go with Troy Polamalu at number 43 for the Pittsburgh Steelers as our favorite player with that number. I was going to start the show off with the college football, Penn State and Pitt, but I've since turned the show over to talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers because before I came on, they made some trades. So let's get into the Steelers. As you remember, last week I had my son on, and we actually spoke about trades coming up, being that they were 6-2, and they have this daunted part of their schedule coming up. With the 3 games, they have 3 games in 10 days. They're playing the AFC North, all 6 games. So all this is coming up in the next 9 games. And we kind of mentioned on the show last week that the Steelers probably were definitely going to make a trade for a wide receiver. It's just that it took them to the deadline to do it, which they did. And they surprised everybody again right after that trade with making another trade for a Green Bay Packers linebacker pass rusher. So they made 2 trades before the deadlines. And as many other shows that I mentioned, even before when my son was on, the Steelers today are just not your father's Steelers anymore as I compare with my son, because he's the new Steeler fan in the family, and I'm the old-time Steeler fan. And there was never any trades at the deadline by the Steelers. But It was Tomlin Tuesday today, and he did mention that they were working the phones for some deals, so he did not lie in his press conference. And Mike Tomlin, he just keeps delivering. That's why I always say this on the Yinzer Report. You guys got to listen to me. You got to wait till you hear from Mike Tomlin. Don't go out there on social media. Don't go out there wherever your favorite sports shows on TV. Listen to Mike Tomlin. It's all in his press conference, all in his after game thoughts and before game thoughts. So let's get into it. So the trade deadline came, and the first trade that came up, and mind you, the Steelers were coming off a bye week, and they will be facing the Washington Commanders Sunday in Washington versus Jaden Daniels, superstar rookie quarterback. So they're going to have their work cut out for them Sunday. But they went ahead and they made the two trades today. And the first one they made was wide receiver Mike Williams. Now, Mike Williams was playing for the Jets, and he was mentioned a lot during this time with the Steelers that they wanted to acquire a wide receiver. He was one of the names mentioned weeks ago, and he's now a Pittsburgh Steeler for a 5th-round pick. So Mike Williams was the Steelers', I guess you would say, long search to land a wide receiver, and it has ended basically everyone who came available coming to Pitts. We started with Brandon Ayuk. Then we went to Devontae Adams. A little bit was mentioned about DeAndre Hopkins. Then Cooper Kupp's name came up, and there's just been names back and forth. Actually, Christian Kirk came up. They were actually finalizing a deal for Christian Kirk. I guess they were waiting until after he played his game this week, and he wound up getting hurt, so that went by the board. And they landed on Mike Williams. Who knew that Mike Williams was still available? But don't forget the Steelers showed interest in him in the offseason. He was scheduled to visit but never made it because he signed with the Jets when he went to visit them in New Jersey before he came to Pittsburgh. So he, like I said, he never made it there, and I guess he was on the Steelers' radar from there on. The Jets signed him, like I said. Mike Williams is a big body who could win on downfield and contested situations, and I believe them giving up a 5th-round pick for him is pretty reasonable. But as always, in the end, you have to see how the trade turns out. So with Mike Williams, so now the success of this trade comes down to whether or not he can make some downfield catches in the Steelers' vertical outside numbers passing game. How much volume will Mike Williams have? He must take his chance. He must make his chances count. If he does, it's a good trade. Also, if he can open up more targets to George Pickens, we all know how Pickens at times is held down, and maybe this was the guy they needed to do that. But don't forget, the Steelers love their wide receiving group. They went and made this trade, yes, but they do love the guys that are there. So I don't know, maybe Mike Williams and Van Jefferson will be splitting plays or something like that, or he'll definitely, have his playing time, but I don't see him getting right in there right away, being that he was just traded. Again, this is a winning trade, although we do have to remember about Mike Williams. He is very injury prone. So Mike Williams is in the Berg, and we'll see if he suits up for Sunday's game. And right after they got Mike Williams, another trade comes by the board. And this was for outside linebacker pass rush to Preston Smith from the Green Bay Packers. So this move adds a significant veteran presence to the Steelers' defensive line. It'll bolster the defensive front. It's a huge upgrade for the Steelers defense. And don't forget, we had all those injuries on the defensive line. We lost Devon Leal. We lost Montravius Adams. They all got hurt. And then as far as the linebackers, Nate Herbig was hurt. But Alex Highsmith has come back. So he'll be playing along those lines of those players filling in here and there. Since 2021, he has 28 sacks, 58 run stops, and 158 pressures. Now that's in 4 years. So this move here, the Steelers, they just strengthened a strength in my eyes. Yeah, hey, if you can give T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith plays off, and this guy can come in and keep the defense in line, hey, we'll take it. We'll take it. So the Steelers have made 2 trades. They it's like them in Baltimore are in a trade type of trade-off, like who's doing better. Don't forget Baltimore got Deontay Johnson, the former Steeler, and they just traded for Trey White, a cornerback from the Rams, before the deadline was up. And then the Steelers went ahead today, and they got their wide receiver that they've been looking for, and they got like I said, more help on the defense, which was needed with Preston Smith. So we'll see what happens with the Steelers. They have that, like I said, that undaunted part of the schedule coming up with the after the bye week with the 6 games against the AFC North. They're playing Kansas City on Christmas Day, and they are 6-2. And believe me, they needed every one of those 6 wins that they have, because anything less than 6-2, 5-3, or 4-4 would have killed them going into this stretch. But hey, like me and my son spoke last week, if you missed it, we made our type of picks. We do believe they can beat one team twice in the AFC North. So if that happens, that'll be good. But you got the tough games versus the Chiefs at home, and I think then they play Philly right after. And they got the Commanders coming up this week. So we'll see what happens and how it works out with them. And let's go Steelers, and we'll see what happens. All right. Let me get into the football quick. So Saturday, they had I'm sorry, Saturday, guys. I don't know if I'm on the screen. Something happened here. Okay, guys, we're back. Saturday was the college football. Penn State versus Ohio State, and Pitt was out at SMU. And Penn State, again, we'll start with Penn State. Penn State, this game versus Ohio State, they came in the game with 7 straight losses versus Ohio State. And the game was built up as conflict as drama, drama as conflict, and it sure turned out to be that way. And as it happened, Penn State, they got the ball first because of Ohio State deferring the ball to them. Sorry about that. Something's going on with my Wi-Fi here on the computer. Okay, there it goes. And Drew Aller was playing on a tender knee, and he started with a knee brace. He took the knee brace off in the second quarter. And a funny thing about this that they mentioned in this game is that Will Howard, the quarterback of Ohio State, his sister goes to Penn State, but he was at the game with the Ohio State, with his family in the Ohio State section, and she wore an Ohio State hat. So you could only imagine the abuse that she must, not abuse, but the ragging she must have took about doing all that. Like I said, Ohio State, they deferred. Penn State had the ball first. They had an 8-minute, 14-play drive. It was 3-0 Penn State. Ohio State's first drive on the third down play. There was a pickoff return, and the pickoff return went for a touchdown. And Penn State was trailing. Penn State was leading 10 to nothing. All right, guys, I'm just going to go along here. My camera froze. So there was Ohio State came right back with a 25-yard TD pass to the wide receiver Obuka. That was 10-7 Penn State. And the game went along, and Ohio State was just playing very well with their offensive line that they had. And the offensive line came in. The offensive line came in with two new guys on the offensive line, and two new offensive guys on the line, and they played very well. And they went. It was two defining moments in this game. They had Penn State was Ohio State was getting ready really to like blow them out of the building, and they had a play where the quarterback was running down the sideline with the ball, but it was batted away by the Penn State defender, and the ball went out of the end zone for a touchback. So that was pretty big for the Penn State. And then there was another defining moment later on in the game. Penn State twice in this game failed to convert on goal line. They were on the 5-yard line with goal line to go, and they failed on both, throwing a pick on one, and the last one that could have gave them the lead in the game, or tied the game, I'm sorry, that one didn't work either. So Penn State, they lost again to Ohio State, and now they dropped in the rankings, and they are 8 in a row. They lost in a row to Ohio State, and also after the game, the coach, James Franklin, was being cursed at as he was walking off the field, and things just weren't good there in Happy Valley. And then all of a sudden on social media, everything's starting with the as far as the let's fire him. He can't win a big game, and all those type of things that happened. So that was the Penn State game, and Penn State, like I said, I mean, they still have a chance. I wrote this little summary about them. After the loss to Ohio State, it's Penn State's season is not predicted on this loss to Ohio State. The game, it's about how they respond. They could break to 10-2. Of course, it's a stereotype. Went out of a college playoff game, and I believe everything is still right in front of the team. So we'll see what happens with Penn State. And guys, I don't know what's going on here with my camera. Let's see what happens here. I'll try to get it back on as I go along here. Let's get into the Pitt game. Now, Pitt played SMU, and SMU came in with a 5-0 conference record, and they were 8-1. So I'll just go through this quick here. Number 20, SMU overwhelmed the previous undefeated number 18 Pitt 48-25, and a game, to be honest, wasn't even close. This win by SMU ties the Mustangs for the conference lead in the all-of-course year, being that their debut in the conference now are 5-0 in the ACC. Pitt now has dropped to 4th place. SMU showing off their fast look offense took off, and Pitt couldn't keep up. Playing a team they had never seen before, and in an environment they could not adjust to. SM coach Rhett Lachey said afterward, "This is what happens, and it shows when you worry about taking care of your own business, what can happen." He's right. It was 31-3 at half. Both starting quarterbacks who were playing statuses were questionable at the beginning. Both started. SMU Kevin Jennings, 306 yards, 2 TDs. Pitt, Eli Holston, 29 of 47 for 248. He didn't play the final 9.5 minutes because of the lopsided score. So much for Coach Narduzzi's coy attempt with Holston's play status to try to throw off SMU, who would not start at the beginning of the week. Said he wasn't announced as the starter at the beginning of the week. And the message is one game. His Narduzzi's message to the team was, "It's one game. It's hard to win every week. It's hard to beat every team every week." Pitt's next two games are at home Saturday versus Virginia Tech, and then versus Clemson. So they have some work to do. And then, as you know, maybe as a team and a staff, we didn't handle success. Our guys will handle adversity. This is adversity, and our guys will bounce back. You can see it in the locker room. They are not discouraged. Pitt summarized in this game, they didn't finish some early tackles, resulting in big plays that set up TDs that wore down 34-3 before scoring a TD in the final minute of the third quarter. They finished with 453 total yards, but 300 came after halftime. But the tone was already set, and they trailed by 4 TDs. And that was basically the end for the Pitt Panthers, who have dropped to number 23 in the country. And let's see if the cam is back on. And they lost. All right, let me take a break. Let's see if I can figure this out. And when I get back, hopefully I can get these on. When I get back, we will talk about some Penguins hockey and some Hall of Fame stuff that I got. And we'll throw in a little Pitt basketball. We'll be back right after this. This is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
The light is red, the kids are in bed, which means it is time for Mile High Musings with me, Aaron Yowell, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your favorite West Coast Wisconsinite, Bernie Bango, and if you're a cheesehead, come listen to my show, Big Cheese Sports, where we road trip around America's Dairyland, previewing, reviewing, predicting, debating, and digging into all that is Wisconsin sports at the college and pro levels. Join me on IE Sports Radio, Sundays at 1 p.m. Central Standard. Bernie out.
versus Montreal. The Penguins played Montreal, and again, Sidney Crosby scored 2 goals. He added to that crazy stat that I just mentioned, that 85-12-5. It's now 86-12-5 when he scores at least 2 goals. And Crosby was the first star of the game for the second game in a row. Second star was Alex Nedeljkovic. He was in net again, cementing getting his second straight win, making 25 saves, and now has a 9.62 save percentage. Seems as if the Penguins have found their main goalie for the 2024-25 season. Blakely Lizotte scored the empty netter to close out the Habs. Third star Chris Letang, playing his 1,100 regular season game, finished with an assist versus hometown team. Crosby's second power play goal, is now tied for 14th place on the NHL's all-time winning list. He also surpassed Luc Robitaille for 13th most even strength goals in NHL history. Crosby has 4 goals and 7 points in his last 3 games. It's the 7th time Crosby scored multiple goals back-to-back games after he had during a win against Anaheim on Thursday, who has 5 goals this season and 3 from .600 for his career. As mentioned, the second straight win after 6-game losing streak. They play tonight versus the Islanders. And another great note and milestone from this game: Chris Letang, Sidney Crosby have taken sole possession of the 3rd most goals combined by a forward defenseman duo in NHL history. That's something. That is something. So that is good. All right. Let's smoke us. Looks great. Salute, Ralph. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Salute to you also. All right. Let's get into some Pitt basketball. I have a little preview here of Pitt. And as you guys know, I like to do a little preview of each team before they start their season. So this is the Pittsburgh Panthers men's basketball team. The Pittsburgh Panthers men's basketball team is the NCAA Division I intercollegiate men's basketball program of the University of Pittsburgh, often referred to as Pitt. Located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Pitt's men's basketball team competes in the Atlantic Coast Conference and plays their games in the Peterson Event Center. Pitt has reached 1 Final Four, received 15 first-team All-American selections, and appeared in 27 NCAA tournaments through the 2022-2023 season, and has recorded 1,674 victories against 1,232 losses since their inaugural season in 1905-06. So the last time they actually made the tournament was in 2023, and they made it to the round of 32. In the offseason, Pitt had signed head coach Jeff Capel to a 3-year extension, at least till 2029-30. The Pitt Panthers basketball coach Jeff Capel was extended to 2020. Capel inherited more of a nightmare of a program than anyone could or would have explained to him. He could have cut and run early after a season, and no one would have blamed him, but he didn't. And this just makes more to his success all that much sweeter. So he was signed. He picked up the program when it was really in disarray, and they had their first game. They had their first game last night, and they had their first game last night, and they played a team called Radford. And Jalen Lowe, the backcourt, he was a rookie last year with Bubba Carrington. Remember Bubba Carrington? He was drafted by the Washington Wizards, and he's been playing really well. He is now the main guard there. He scored 21 points, had 5 rebounds and 6 assists. Ishmael Leggett had 19 points and 12 rebounds. He was the ACC Sixth Man of the Year last year, and 6 other players were in double figures. The win for Pitt, their first game of the 24-25 season, is their 20th win out of 22 in home openers at the Peterson Event Center, and they are 94-23 all-time in home openers. The first starting lineup of the year for the Pitt Panthers was by head coach Jeff Capel, that was put out there, was senior guard Ishmael Leggett, who had 19 points, sophomore guard Jalen Lowe at 21. Graduate student Damon Dunn, a junior forward, had 11 points. Guillermo Diaz-Graham, remember him from last year? He came in and gave him good minutes off the bench. He started, had 10 points. And 6'10", 235-pound forward Cameron Corhen from Florida State played the last 2 seasons there, scored 12 points. And the starting 5 were all in double figures scoring last night. Now, keep in mind that Pitt is in the ACC, and they're going to have a tough schedule. They have 19 games versus the ACC in the regular season, with 2 each versus Louisville, Syracuse, North Carolina. They only played Duke once again, and it's on the road. I found that hard to believe because remember last year they got their first one ever at Duke. But right now in the ACC, Duke and North Carolina are the only ranked teams in the polls as of now. So we will see what happens with the Pitt Panthers this year. I'm going to predict that they will make the tournament this year, coming off last year. They had some run at the end there last year. They made it to the game before the final game of the ACC tournament, and everybody was high on them to make the tournament. And like so many other teams last year that should have made it, they got shafted with that. So that's it for Pitt. I did the college. I'm having trouble. I apologize to you guys. Having trouble with my screen as far as the camera. I don't know what's going on here. Let me see something here. All right, let me take a break. I'll be right back. And this is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. All right, I think we're back. All right, so I'm going to take a quick break, and when I come back, we're going to talk about some Hall of Fame things that I had brought up on recent shows about Pittsburgh Pirates Dave Parker, and of course, my one of my all-time favorite Steelers, Heinz Ward. All right, so we'll be back right after this message, and this is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome to the 305, aka the Magic City, and this is Magic City Scoreboard. I'm your host JB, and right here we're gonna talk anything Miami. Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, Miami Hurricanes, Marlins, Panthers, Inter Miami, and even high school football. So join me once a week right here on Magic City Scoreboard on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed to all that is sports.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you with the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
All right, welcome back. I think we're back on the air here. This is Ralph Calise, your host of the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And we had a little trouble there with the camera, but everything seems to be back online here. Sorry, I was out of it for the half the show there. But let's get into something that I had mentioned back a while back about. We'll start off with Dave Parker. Remember, I did a show way before we were entering StreamYard about him possibly being. He's got to be a Hall of Famer. He's got to get in the Hall of Fame. So we did a show on him on trying to get the Baseball Hall of Fame committee to try to get in and try to get this guy in. I did a little thing. I got a little thing put together for it. He is now on the Hall of Fame Classics Era Committee ballot. So this came from Cooperstown, New York. Dick Allen, Dave Parker, and Louis Tiant among 8 men on the ballot for the Baseball Hall of Fame's Classic Era Committee that meets December 8th at the winter meetings in Dallas. Tommy John, Steve Garvey, Ken Boyer also were on the ballot, along with former Negro Leaguers Josh Donaldson and Vic Harris. The Hall said Monday the Classic Era Committee considers players, managers, umpires, and executives whose greatest contributions to the sport were before 1980. The identities of the 16 voters will be announced closer to the meeting, and 75% of the vote is needed for the election. Anyone chosen will be inducted next July 27th, along with players voted by the Baseball Writers Association of America, whose balloting will be announced on January 21st. Parker, John, and Garvey are living candidates, and Louis Tiant, of course, just died recently on October 8th at age 83. Parker is now 73. He hit .290 with 339 homers and 1,493 RBIs from 1973 to 1991. He was the 1978 NL MVP and won the 1977 and 1978 NL batting titles and was a 7-time All-Star. The Hall in 2022 restructured its Veterans Committee for the third time in 12 years, setting up panels to consider the contemporary era from the 1980s as well as this classic era. The contemporary baseball era holds separate ballots for players and another for managers, executives, and umpires. Each committee meets every 3 years, starting with the contemporary players in December 2022, when Fred McGriff was elected, and followed by contemporary managers, executives, and umpires last December. That's when Jim Leyland was voted in. Jim Leyland, of course, was the Pittsburgh Pirates manager. He just got voted in last year, and I did a show on him with that great speech that he wound up doing. Contemporary players will be considered again in 2025. The ballot was picked by Historical Overview Committee. Parker got 7 votes from the 2019 Modern Era Committee, which considered candidates from 1970 to 1987. Garvey 6 and John 3 or fewer. Garvey, John, Parker, and Tion all received fewer than 7 votes from the 2016 Modern Era Committee. That's something hard to get into. I mean, it's the Baseball Hall of Fame, and you would think Dave Parker would be one of those guys from the Pirates back in the days, the We Are Family teams out here in Pittsburgh, the championship team, and this poor guy can't get into the Hall of Fame. I see the chat is up. Let's see. My boy Drewski, what's good, Ralph? Drewski checking in. Have a great show, my guy. Thanks, Drewski. Your SMU guys put it on our pick, guys, man. That was a great game. Great game for you guys. Big win. You guys are starring it up in this conference. I love it. I love it. Crypto Runners, that's my man from the KC Sports Show. You guys are 8-0 still. Are you ever going to lose? The Kansas City Chiefs. He says, congrats with the wide receiver addition. Yeah, well, just a little note between Crypto Runners. That's Bishop from the KC Sports Show. He does his show on Mondays with the franchise, man. They got a great show, and I razz them every Monday about the Steelers about the Chiefs coming into Pittsburgh. And I razz them every time on the show. I put a little comment out there that, yeah, you're coming to Pittsburgh, you won't be undefeated. If you are, you won't be. So we razz each other back and forth. But yes, we got Mike Williams, as I mentioned at the beginning. I believe that part was on air before I went off with the camera situation. But all right, let's get back into the other Hall of Famer now. This, of course, is someone near and dear to my heart. My favorite, one of my top 3 favorite Steelers of all time, Hines Ward. This poor guy's been trying to get into the Hall of Fame, and I don't know, every time he comes close, he just doesn't make it. It's just always somebody else that gets in before him. So I came up with this for him. I remember I mentioned that he was on a list with 167 other guys for the Hall of Fame, and he now made the next list of 50. So this is called the 50 Modern Era Players Advanced Voting Process for the NFL Hall of Fame Class of 2025. This is screening committee's recommendations sent out to full selection committee for further reduction votes. Now, that doesn't mean that he's in. It's just that he's made the next process. So here's how it went. Exactly 50 modern era players have advanced in the voting process for the Pro Football Hall of Fame's class of 2025, presented by Visual Edge IT. They threw in a little thing in there, a little sponsor in there. Candidates for the hall in this category last could have appeared in a professional football game in the 2019 season. So there's a couple of first timers. That's probably why it says 2019 on the list. Each member of the Modern Era's screening committee, a new entity created this year to add additional input around the overall selection process, cast a ballot for 50 individuals from a list of 167 nominees consisting of 94 offensive players, 56 defensive players, and 17 special teamers. If any player or players had tied for 50th position, he would have remained eligible for the class of 2025, but that did not occur this year. So like I said at the beginning, Hines Ward went from 167. Now he's down to the final 50. The 50 modern era players who remain eligible for election with the class of 2025 are, and it has asterisks next to indicate finalists for the class of 2024, and an underline for indicates for first year eligibility. And the quarterbacks are Eli Manning, first year eligibility, Steve McNair, running back Sean Alexander, Tiki Barber, Eddie George, Marshawn Lynch, he's a first timer, Fred Taylor, who was there last year, and Ricky Waters. Now here's the wide receivers: Anquan Bolden, Torrey Holt, who was nominated last year but didn't get in, Jimmy Smith, Steve Smith Sr., my guy Hines Ward, and Reggie Wayne, who was nominated for last year. So, I mean, Hines Ward, you can say that he's right up there with all those guys, but the problem I see here with this is that he's got two guys on that list that are already were going to make it last year. They were on their way in, and they didn't get in. I mean, there's other guys on this list too, so they narrow it down. So in the next step of the process, each member of the Hall of Fame's full selection committee will review the above list and cast. They vote for the 25 nominees each believe should advance to the semifinalist stage. The name of the 25 semifinalists, plus ties, if any, for the 25th position, will be announced in about 4 weeks. Hey, Mikey Guns. Mikey Guns is in the chat. Ralphie, what's up, my Hall of Fame brother? Hines Ward, what a beat, great receiver, even better blocker. Yes. Trying to get him in the Hall of Fame, Mikey. It's been too many years. He hasn't made it. Thanks for joining in, Mikey. Thank you very much. I miss you, brother. Miss you. Mikey said Hall of Fame, brother. Me and Mikey were we're both in the IE Sports Radio Hall of Fame, and we were inducted in it this past beginning of this year. And I was 24th. I believe he was 22nd or 23rd, but yeah, we took our picture for the radio stations and we put it out there. And Mikey is out on his own with, like he just mentioned in his thing, our Bleeping City podcast. Check it out. If you're a Boston fan, oh man, he's all over it. He's all over it. Any type of sport, he's all over it. Thanks, Mikey. Thanks for joining. I miss you, brother. Happy holidays to you and the family. So let me just go through this here now with the rest for Hines Ward. Reduction votes also are occurring in the seniors, coach, and contributor categories. Eventually, 20 finalists will be presented at the selection committee's annual meeting next year in advance of Super Bowl. The Super Bowl 15 modern era players, 3 seniors, 1 coach, and a contributor. While there is no set number for any class of enshrinees, the Hall of Fame selection process bylaws stipulate that between 4 and 8 members will be selected. The Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2025 will be announced at the NFL Honors in New Orleans, LA in February, and it shined in August in Canton, Ohio. And if you tuned in last week and you heard my son say, if the Steelers make the playoffs, we are going. If Hines Ward makes the Hall of Fame, I'm going. I will be there in Ohio. I'm not missing that. All right. So we had a little bit of a rough show here today. We lost contact there in the middle there with the college football. I don't know if I got it out there. Hopefully I did. But if I did not, Penn State, of course, lost to Ohio State. And the Pitt Panthers, as I mentioned with Drewski there, they lost to SMU. I'm sorry. Trying to get the page up for the so sorry about that. So yeah, so we'll see what happens with all that stuff going on. The Steelers, of course, now have they've got the 2 guys that are in, and they made the trade today for the 2 guys. And we'll see what happens. If I don't think Mike Williams is going to be playing, but we'll see what happens. And there's the music. I got to reset everything here, guys. Yeah, problems here today. All right, so so that was it for Hines Ward. Guns, thanks for joining in. He said at the end there's James Harrison in the Hall of Fame third speed. He is one of the guys on that list, Mikey. So he's out there too. See what happens with him as well. All right. So guys, this is the Yinzer report. Then there's a 50th episode. I'm sorry for all that. Thanks for all who tuned in. And we'll catch you guys next week, I'm sorry. And, like I said, Penguins are playing the Islanders tonight, and we have that trade. See how it works out for the Steelers. Get more into it next week, hopefully. And I'm heading out to Florida next week. So once it's right, we can go from there. If not, I take a week and come back to the station. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Have a great night. This is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sport. Good night.